There's so many wonderful ways that we can attract and we can also help people. And some of the easiest ways out there is to actually be out on stage and talking about the things that have happened in your life. So today we're going to be doing just that. We're going to be talking about some of the ways that we can influence others through. Welcome to Let's Get Real. My name is Glenda Kroll, and I'm one of your hosts today. And
I'm Nicole Harvick, and it's Wednesday, so I always show up with a smile because I love this so much. And I love our guests. We have really good guests, and today is no exception. So I want to get started with her because she is just a plethora of knowledge. I've talked to her on OWL, which is an app that Glenda and I both use. I've talked to her by phone, and she is just one cool lady. So she is a successful entrepreneur, and she has started 5 companies. 5. She's a corporate trainer. She's a best-selling author, and she's also a corporate speaker. She is a certified behavior analyst, which has helped her become indispensable to those she coaches. And I can understand that after having talked to her. And I want to welcome to our stage Orly Amor.
Orly, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
And you know what? I didn't know a lot of this until I saw your bio. And I'm like, my goodness, wow, I could have kept going. So very impressive, my dear. I love this. I can't wait to just absorb all the information that you have for us today.
Every time I hear somebody read my bio, it's hysterical because I'm always saying, are they talking about me?
Yes, we're talking about you, and I can't wait to find out more things because, there was always something in my background that always, that you had that little thing that's talking down below inside of you saying that you should be doing something. And one of my dreams is still getting on stage and really speaking. So today is one of the most important in topics because what we don't realize is inside of us, we always have something that we can share that can inspire other people to change their lives or grow their lives. Never mind change, but help them through their lives because, we've all had to conquer something. So I can't wait to hear all about what you have to say because I've heard you before talking and I'm so blown away by you and I love it. So welcome to Let's Get Real and let's get talking.
Let's do that. All right.
Okay, so you are one of the top women out there who is going along and speaking on stages. Now, you didn't just all of a sudden get out there and just do it because nothing works out like that. So give us a little bit of a background. Where did this all start from?
Sure. So my first story and my pivotal point is when I started, I was in property management. I also was in real estate. I had a huge company in property management as well as a brokerage firm. And while I was in Florida, I had one of the largest property management companies. And one of my friends calls me one day and she says, would you speak at this women's shelter that I'm volunteering at? And I said, what? What do you want me to talk to them about? She said, I said, you want me to talk to them about property management? Like, I was so confused. She's like, no, silly. I want you to tell your story. I said, oh, no, that's not going to happen. And she, do you have an annoying friend? Because I have a couple of annoying friends, but I love them. They're our friends, right? I mean, and so she called me every single day for like 3 weeks. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? After 3 weeks, I said, okay, Liz, why me? There's other people that speak on this topic. Why me? She's like, well, you have this bubbly personality. Everywhere we go, networking, people hug you. People who don't even know you hug you. And you live a lifestyle that most people dream about. You're like a social butterfly. Come and give these women hope. And I said, okay, what do I have to do to get you off my phone? And she didn't like it, of course. So she said, well, for you to say yes. And I'll tell you guys, I never wanted to share my story. I know how in some stories we feel our shame and we feel scrutinized and judged and we are afraid of sharing, right? And so I finally relented and I said yes. And a couple of months later, I was speaking at this women's shelter. And what happened to me, I was speaking already on property management all over Canada and all over the United States. So it was not new to me to be in front of a crowd, but to tell my story, I had to hire a coach. I did not know how to do that. And so I hired a coach, and finally I'm speaking on this stage, and something happened there that I cannot even express. I was not ready for it. After I got done, there was not one dry eye in the place. I'll tell you my story in a second, but there was not one dry eye in the place. And when I got off the stage, what happened was that not just like in property management where everybody is like, oh, Miss Amor, in my condo association, we all fight in our board of directors, instead of that, I was hearing, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me hope. Thank you for sharing, hugs and tears. And it was just so over. I have goosebumps telling you this. It's all over my body. And I didn't know what to do with it. But all of a sudden, this lady comes up to me and she's crying profusely. And I'm trying to calm her down. She's like, thank you so much. You don't understand. And I said, no, I do understand, sweetheart. You need to calm down. She was hyperventilating. I'm like, sweetheart, you got to calm down. She's like, no, you don't understand. I said, yeah, I do. Please breathe. And back and forth we went. And then she yelled at me. No, you don't understand. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's happening, right? It's because, this is my first time. You guys need to understand, my first motivational speech ever. And she takes a piece of paper out of her pocket and she shows it to me. And she said, you see here, this is how I was going to kill myself this morning. In fact, I don't even remember driving from my house to the shelter, but I heard you speak and I want to live. I just need you to show me how.
Oh my gosh.
And let me tell you guys, I have goosebumps. I can show you. I am crying. I couldn't hold it together. As a professional speaker, I lost it. And I got to tell you, this was my pivotal moment because at one point I was thinking, oh my goodness, it wasn't wow. It was, oh my God, I just saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
And if you read my books, the story is in there and it's Chris telling the story. He was there, but Chris tells the story where we got back in the car and I was driving and he tells me to write a book about it. And I'm driving saying, screw property management. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was kind of one of those pivotal moments. And my story is very simple. I'll tell it to you in 13 seconds so we can move on. I was a beaten up child. I was molested 4 times before the age of 14. I was raped 3 times before the age of 22, twice gang raped, 9 months apart, left for dead. I was also married to a very abusive husband, both mentally and physically. And as a result of all that, I had 4 abortions and I gained a morbid amount of weight. I was 428 pounds at my heaviest.
Oh my gosh.
So even with all that, and like I said, it's not a competition of stories. It's who we are. It's our story. And it does need to be shared because in the act of sharing, there's contribution. You never know whose life you're going to change.
Or save.
Save.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, unbelievable. And yes, you are 1,000,000% right because when we tell our stories, you don't know who's out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did that change your life at that point? Because you didn't realize at that point when you were telling your story what that was going to do.
Right. Well, the thing is that you now realize the impact you have, and you also realize that it's much bigger than you. Right? Your apprehensions, your fears, your fear of getting judged and scrutinized and dissected and being just judged in every type of way. You just realize that, wait a minute, this is not about me at all. This is about the people that I can help and empower and inspire and basically change their lives and give them hope. I mean, that was a big deal for me. I don't care how much money people have or what a beautiful house they have or what kind of car they enjoy. I mean, none of this goes to the grave with you. What's the impact you're leaving here? Which brings me to my second story. You want to hear it?
Of course. We're like, bring it on.
So in 2010, I told my business coach, and by the way, don't hire a coach that doesn't have a coach. I'm just saying.
I get it. I true.
This is really me. I can't I can't be anyone else. It's too hard to be me. I'm just kidding. So what I want to say is that in 2010, I told my coach that I would like to impact the lives of 200 million people by 2025. I'm going to spare you the detail of that conversation. But in my head, because I've built so many companies, I've always built them under two mantras. One, by Les Brown, the how is not your business. And two, by Sir Richard Branson, when an opportunity knocks, say yes, figure it out later.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I've always worked with that, right? So a couple of months later, so let's say May of 2010, I had a few of my friends who are speakers at my house in Florida. I had a beautiful pool. We were hanging out, having a barbecue, and they're all speakers. So I'm hearing them talk between themselves saying, nobody's paying, nobody's hiring. They're just complaining and being negative Nelly, you know? And I heard them and I said, guys, what are you talking about? Minimum wage in public speaking is $150K a year. And they looked at me and got upset and said, are you crazy? Some of us make 50, some of us make 60, some of us 70, 80, 100, that's pushing it, 150. You're out of your mind, Orly. I said, okay, you do you, I'll do me. They hate when I say that, right? And in my head, I was thinking, well, thank God I didn't tell them that I triple that.
Wow.
Because in my head, there was a cartoon playing saying, oh my God, if you tell them that, they're going to push you into the pool, you're going to be drowned, they're going to take over the house and the dogs, and that'll be it. You know? And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. About a month later, I was traveling around the world. I did 7 countries that year where I was speaking. And then I ended up back in Arlington, Texas for another business conference where I was one of the speakers. And they have this break room, or some people call it green room for speakers, where we just have some tea and whatever. And I'm standing there minding my own business, so jet lagged. I was so tired. And these 3 guys who are obviously speakers come over to me. And one of them says, aren't you Orly Amor? I said, yeah, do I know you? Sorry, I don't remember. Now that you know my story, it was kind of creepy, you know? And so they said, no, we've never met before, but we've seen you on the circuit. And I said, oh, okay, phew. And here we are networking and just talking, you know, shop talk. And at one point, one of them says to me, listen, I'm just curious. How did you get this gig? I said, I don't know. I called, I told them what I speak about. They paid me and I'm here. They all looked at me like if I had 3 heads. You got paid? And I'm like,
whoops. Oh, my bad.
You guys didn't? They're like, no, we got our expenses paid, but we didn't get paid. I said, oh, no, I got paid and I got my expenses paid. So they said, well, we want to know how you did that. And I said, jokingly, of course, I said, well, if I tell you, I'm going to have to charge you. I was just kidding because I was not even coaching then, you know? And before I could say, just kidding, they said, okay, name your price. And I'm like, what? Hold on a second. Let's talk later. Give me your cards. It was kind of really weird the way it happened. And I went back to the event planner and I said, listen, I think I screwed up. I just told these 3 guys that I got paid and they didn't. She's like, shh, you're the only one who got paid.
Oh.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
I said, why? She's like, because nobody else asked.
Wow. Boy, that's a mic drop, isn't it?
That's a mic drop and a half. I was what? No, what do you mean? No, what? I was so used to, and by the way, guys, this was my aha moment. Another pivotal point for me was that until that moment, I didn't know that speakers did not get paid. I didn't know this pay to play, speak to sell crap. I never had to do it. So I never knew about it until that moment. So this was another aha, right?
Wow.
I went home thinking that I know what I'm doing. And so I'm like thinking about what am I doing that is different than everybody else? And I created the Business in a Box for public speakers, where I actually called those friends of mine that I met the friends of mine that were at the pool. And I said, hey guys, I'm thinking of coaching speakers and guaranteeing they'll make $150K a year. Should I do it? They're like, oh my God, you should totally do it. It's like the Holy Grail. We'll hire you. And I'm like, who are you? And what have you done with my friends? Like 2 months ago, you guys were laughing at me and screaming at me. And here you are wanting to hire me. But one of my friends said, Orly, what about reaching your 200 million? it wouldn't be cool if you help other speakers get out there, and who cares how much money they make, because there's a lot of money out there. But what if they told you how many people they touch and they impact? That can count for your 200 million. And I said, that's going to be my why. Because I don't have any other why. And so I called back those 3 guys from Arlington that I met in Arlington. And I said, hey guys, I don't know what I'm doing. You can't make this shit up, by the way. It's like, guys, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to coach speakers and guarantee you'll make 150K. So they all said the same thing. How do you guarantee anything? Nobody guarantees anything. I said, you know what? Fair enough. If I guarantee you a job at McDonald's in anywhere USA, can I guarantee that they'll at least pay you minimum wage? They said, of course, it's the law. I said, exactly. Well, in public speaking, the minimum wage is 150K. So really what I'm guaranteeing you is minimum wage, not more than that, right? If you make more, God bless, right? So all 3 of them hired me on the spot. And 2 of them for the past 8 or 9 years are making between $300,000 and $400,000 a year blindfolded. And one of them made 1.2 million in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's gay, he's gorgeous, he's single, he goes around the world to the LGBTQ community, and he's kicking it. But I'll tell you this, I will not work as hard as he does. He works hard, and I would not want to do that. I mean, all the money in the world will not pay me to work as hard as he does. So it's all relevant, right, to what you want to invest in.
But is he not enjoying it?
Oh my God, you can't even reach him. I called him for a whole month, and by the time he answered me, I'm like, listen, Kevin, I basically tried now for a month to reach you, and I even called the Pope, and the Pope said to keep trying you because I even reached the Pope, but not you. And he's like, I'm busy, and I'm like, I know, but it's me.
It's your coach.
I'm your coach.
That is an amazing story, though, because especially when I hear about your Kevin, there's so many places you can make such a difference if you just open your mouth and speak your truth. And it sounds like that's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's really amazing. It's just, you are needed, right? People are afraid to get out there, and you are needed. Actually, let me give you a couple of statistics. There are 64,000 events a day in America alone, Canada and the United States, that pay speakers. Yet most speakers are
4,000.
64,000. Even if you and me and Glenda and everybody on this call would be in one room with each of us having 300 of our friends, we would still not be able to reach 64,000 in one day. So, the numbers are there. The other thing is it's a $113.2 billion industry around the world. And right now, we are 1 million speakers short and 1 million coaches short in the world.
Well, we took the coach part, but we need to add ourselves into the speaker area of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what we're lacking most is variety, diversity, and women speakers. We're not talking about diversity and inclusion, something completely different. This is a topic where what I'm talking about is new blood of speakers. Women speakers need to get out there. I don't care if they hire me. They need to be shaken up. Go out there. They need you. They want you. They're craving you. I'm talking about the event planners.
Okay. That's so interesting. Yeah.
So somebody wants to start getting into speaking. And there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this, and they're waiting to hear your tips. Okay. What type of tips can you give people who want to go out there and start that career?
Look, I always say Google is your best friend, right? Like Google, you can Google events and you can contact them and very simply say, are you hiring speakers? Are you the one hiring, or can you point me in the right direction of the person that hires speakers for your event? Simple question, right? Yeah. Don't go around saying, I am Nicole Harvick and I speak on the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, like that's what everybody's doing. It's too much. Here is a statistic for you. I mean, it's the simplest thing. They did a survey on the most stressful jobs in America, 100 most stressful jobs, Canada and the United States. Number one was military jet fighter plane pilot. Okay.
Okay.
Number two was air traffic controller. I get it. Number five is event planner coordinator.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Do you really think that they have time to read your long ass emails, to read your book, to read your LinkedIn profile? Do you really think they have the time for that? They don't. So how do we make their life easier? See, what we're trying to do as speakers is make our life easier. You know, people come to me all the time and they get on my calendar. And of course, I'm offering that 20-minute conversation for free to your audience. But here's the thing, you know, it's like people come to me and they say, well, I never heard of you. And I'm like, well, I never heard of you either. That makes two of us. You know, I mean, where do you come off saying that somebody needs to hear of you? First of all, I'm a corporate speaker. So it's more of a corporate environment that would know who I am and would refer me to each other. But in the real world, it's about relationships. So what I tell people is don't try to close the deal on your first email to someone. Are you serious? That's what's happening in this industry, is that everybody thinks there's someone and they have the biggest thing since sliced bread. And if you knew what I do, it is amazing. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious? Okay, let me tell you that there's 100,000 people of the same topic that speak like you. And event planners are thinking, well, you don't know what you're doing. Why would I hire you? You still talk like everybody else. How do I pick you instead of everybody else? And that's my gift, if you will. My gift is that I know how to position someone completely separate from everyone else that speaks on the same topic. Making them intriguing, sexy, marketable to an event planner who doesn't know what to do next. Event planners are millennials now. And when I started, they were baby boomers. You know, we have different guidelines of working, different working ethics, different modalities. Look, it's a big world out there, and there's more and more and more and more speakers, but we're still short. Can you believe it?
That's correct. No, I don't think anyone would believe that. I think they would believe just the opposite, that, oh, I can't break into that because there's so many.
Yeah. Right.
But that's the false premise, because if you think about when COVID hit, let me tell you what happened when COVID hit, right? My clients, my phone was blowing up during March of 2020, right? And what did I just tell you? 64,000 events per day, right? Well, they did not just disappear. That did not happen, but people said it did. Oh, nobody's hiring. There's no events out there. Everybody's shutting down. No, that's not the truth. Let's talk about the truth. Let's separate those 64,000 events a day into three categories. The first one, yes, they shut down, they closed down because they didn't know how long this would last, what they're going to do next, how to plan. They didn't have an infrastructure to deal with this. Hey, none of us knew this was coming. So, okay. Then there's the second group, the second third. And the second third had all the infrastructure to just pull the switch up and say, okay, we're going virtual. Listen, I was paid for some of these events, and we got an email that said, here is your email and your Zoom link to get in on Zoom. You know, how many of you would have liked to have stocks in Zoom on December?
Oh, really? Right?
And so this is what happened. So they basically just sent an email. They were able to do that. Now there is the third. And the third postponed their events to 2022, 23, 24, and 25. Because I'll tell you why in a minute, why so far away. And they just had another problem on their hand, because of course they had venue challenges and other things. But the other biggest problem they had is that these speakers were canceling on them. They were not ready to speak the next date. They had something else, or something else was happening. Oh, I'm getting married. My daughter is having a baby, whatever it was, right? So people were canceling on the event planners. And so when my clients called me during March, I said, keep going with contacting event planners. And some of my clients were getting booked for like 6 at a time.
Wow.
It was so cool. It's boutique kind of style, because now if they know you're available, they start booking you so that they can fill their slots. You see, they're the most stressful jobs. The first thing they hate in their job is hiring speakers. And the last thing they do in their job is hire speakers. So it's kind of funny. The reason I'm saying some events will will postpone till like 4 years ahead is because what you need to take into consideration is that some events happen once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, or 4 times a year. But then you have the events that happen every 2 years, every 3 years, or every 4 years, like elections. But you don't know which is which. So the goal is to reach out to all of them. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door because you wrote a book.
Yeah.
No one is coming to knock on your door because you have 30,000 followers on in LinkedIn, which I do. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everybody, there's two reasons. Okay, there's two reasons why speakers don't make money in this business. Okay, one, they don't know how, so we can't blame them for that. Two, they're lazy. Sorry to say it that way, but I have no filter between my brain and my mouth, which you've already seen. So my point to you is that they won't do the work. It takes work, at least consistency of work. And the second thing I'll tell you is that speakers get into this business to feed their ego or feed their pocket. I'm here to feed your pocket. I really don't care about your ego. I have no ego. My ego is out to lunch. Literally, it's not here. And that's really what's happening in this industry.
Wow. Whew. You just don't expect to hear that, because anyone I've ever talked to prior to you, oh, well, good luck. They're not hiring. There's too many. It's oversaturated. You can't get a hold of an event planner. I mean, it was everything negative. And so you're like, well, gosh, if I what do I do? And then there's Orly.
Well, Orly says people who talk like that don't want you to succeed. Competition is sometimes the mentality of lack, right? I don't have that lack mentality. I just got hired for 2026. What should I do? Should I just say no?
2026.
Wow.
You want me to tell you, right? And yesterday I got hired to speak on Tuesday in Los Angeles. Now I have to get my hotel and get a flight, and I'm thinking, oh my God, when do you need me? Sometimes you're not ready for it, but be ready. So when I challenge people is that, are you really ready? Because if you're not ready, then how are you going to talk to an event planner? Do you know how to hold a conversation? Do you know how much to charge, when to charge, how to scale? This is a scalable business. That's why Kevin made 1.2 million in 1 year. It was because he built up to it in 2-3 years. He didn't do it overnight. It doesn't happen that way. But are you consistently out there? See, remember when I said to you, people come to me and say, well, I never heard of you. And I'm like, well, I never heard of you either. And do you think an event planner has heard of you? Right? Some people tell me, oh, I'm going to finish my website and then I'll get back to you. And I'm like, why are you even working on your website? No one knows you. What are you doing? That's what I want to say to them. Oh, I'm going to finish my book and I'll let you know. I'm like, okay, sure. Because, most people sell about 200 books their whole life. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, what are you working on that is actually not making you money? I am about the money. I don't know about you, but I never met a dollar I didn't like. I don't know about you. That's my running joke.
I haven't met a dollar either that I didn't want to be friends with. So tell me, do people need to have that speaker sheet that they can send out?
I'm really glad that you brought that up, Glenda. A speaker sheet is great, but if they didn't ask you for it, why are you sending it?
Okay.
Right? It's an ego booster for people, right? They get attached to the material stuff instead of to get attached to, how do I build a relationship with the event planner? How do I come across that I'm a team player, not a taker? How do I do that? And I teach that to my clients. I teach them how to have a real conversation. It starts from the get-go. You got to know what to say and when to say it. It's not like, oh, here's my speaker sheet, hire me. Okay, do you guys remember, because you're like about my age, when we were younger and we would send our resume to get hired in a job, right? What would happen? We got a letter that said, we will keep your resume for 6 months. And if anything comes up, right? Well, with event planners, that doesn't happen. But they're also not going to contact you because they don't know anything about you, really. And if they're not looking for a speaker, then they're not going to reach out. So sometimes event planners will reach out right away and tell you what they need. And sometimes they will wait until they need speakers. So, I had a lady who was so negative Nelly in one of the webinars that I was giving. And she said, yeah, event planners don't answer. And then she said to me, so I said, where do you reach out? She's like, I reach out to them on LinkedIn. Can we talk? If you reach them on LinkedIn, they blacklisted you. So now you have a bigger problem on your hand, my dear. That's number one. And number two is that who do you think you are? They're busy. Hello, right? So if they're not looking for a speaker, they're not going to reach out. So what is the goal? Number game. In any business, by the way, you girls are successful businesswomen. This is what happens. We do the numbers, and we know that if we meet with 10 or 20 clients, we'll get one. It's just the same in public speaking. They don't know who you are. They have not built a relationship with you. You haven't shown them anything that anybody else is not showing them, right? And they call it the swipe. So when they look at, because they're on their phone, right? They're on their phone, and they see an email come through and like, just it's not interesting. It's not grabbing their attention. And that's what's really happening.
So how do you grab their attention?
Well, I do have a gift. And if you guys understand energy and universe, I have a gift that is like a download where I position people. There's an exercise that we go through. My clients now for the past 8 years have called it Orly's torture. It's not. It is very, very challenging for speakers, but it's definitely not torture. Okay. Let's not scare anyone away. It's really cool. I walk them through the whole thing. But it's an exercise that we do to see how much they think that they have to give to the audience and how much they think that the audience is actually getting. And that's a big shift, huge shift in their mindset. And so I have a gift that is a download of how I position them in this industry so they stand out. Because if they are the same people, if they're people like, how many people do you know that are motivational speakers, right? Like everybody's a motivational speaker, right? And then, so event planners think like that. They're like, oh my God, another motivational speaker. They're not thinking, oh, she's different. No, they're not thinking that because they don't have the time to think. So we need to grab them pretty quickly. And that's my gift. I know how to do that and make you intriguing, sexy, marketable for an event planner to say, I never heard that before. Let's look into that. That doesn't guarantee you a booking, but it makes you at least, made you look. Have you ever watched the movie Aladdin?
Oh yeah.
At the end, he picks up the screen with the moon and he goes, made you look, right? And so I make them look, right? And so that's one thing. And then the other thing that I do that is also one of my gifts and that I discovered through time is that I come up with 3 talk titles that are also intriguing, sexy, marketable, kick-ass, good. That an event planner, instead of swiping, will say, I wonder what she means by that. Or I wonder what she talks about. And that's how we get more speaking gigs. But then there's the other side of the business where do you have all your forms together? Do you know how to negotiate? What do you say if they tell you they have no money? It's not true. They don't have the money. It's not true that they don't have the money. They don't want to pay you. But that's a harder pill to swallow when you have an ego boosting type of, mentality. So what I say is you need to know what to say. It's not how, it's how you say it. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. It really is. It comes down to that, but you need to be trained on that. Even my clients who, because I always tell my clients, my condolences in advance. If you ever do decide to work with me, you have me for life. Like I have nothing else to sell to you. So, and the truth of that is that they don't realize how badly it is when they start talking to event planners. And they're like, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? So I'm there to hold their hands to guarantee that success because there's no way that they don't make it. And some of my clients are making $30,000 a month. It's like, it starts to build. That's what I do.
Wow. I love what you do. And I think that, it's always about building that confidence within ourselves too, right? It's it's such an important thing in life of being able to. And how do you build the confidence? Is by doing something over and over again. And that is what coaching is all about.
True. And also, what is your passion? What do
Yes.
you want to leave as a legacy? When nothing is promised to us, tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is not even promised. So how are you not doing? What is the cost? What is the cost attached to not doing and living your passion? Who is
Absolutely.
owning you? You or something else? Another thought? Another fear?
And
Another.
and too often, yes, it's that self-doubt that sits in our back alley.
I know. I hear you. I
Yeah.
can relate. I can totally relate. When I started in this business 27 years ago, oh my God, did I just say 27 years?
You were 10. You were 10.
I know I'm 57, very proud of it, by the way. So, 20 when I started 27 years ago, 26 years ago to be exact, 26 years ago, when I started in this business, nobody even wanted to show me what to do. I learned on my own blood, sweat, and tears.
I get it.
And this is what the message is to everyone listening. You have a story within you because you've been through things. But here's the other thing. Whatever you've been through, and I don't know how old you are, and I really don't care. Whatever you've been through, you've paid for it. You've paid for it with money, education, blood, sweat, tears, aggravations, ups and downs. You've paid the price. Why would you give it away for free? Why? That's the question. It's your intellectual property. Some people say to me, "Oh, I speak for free because I want exposure," and I'm like, "Okay, go outside. The sun will give you plenty of exposure." I'm being sarcastic, but I don't want to seem mean or condescending in any way, shape, or form. I just want people to own who they are now. You've been through where you've been through. You're a hero. In your own mind, you should be a hero, and people need to hear your message because, like I said, there's contribution there. Don't go to the grave without telling your story because you thought about what other people would think, about what people will say. Who cares? They don't pay your bills.
And that's so important to remember because I, for one, I really hesitated telling my story. For many years, I was embarrassed and didn't use my voice in a marriage. And when I thought, there a lot of women go through this. I could help someone because I helped myself heal. And I can't believe the response I get and ears that perk up just by telling my true story. I don't have to add anything. I don't take anything out, but it's who I am now.
Exactly.
I have become my story. I am my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Glenda.
No, I was just going to say, like for me, as I share parts of my life with people, it's helping somebody else so they don't have to go through some of the horrible things that we have lived through. And if you can spare somebody a little bit of that pain, it's really something that it can change somebody's entire life. And what a great thing in life is when you can spare somebody some pain.
Absolutely.
It's like
You
having them to help them. Like what have you did? You spared a life from somebody taking their life. Like that is incredible.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it that way. I was only thinking about me, 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 me. I don't want to tell my story because I don't want people to judge me. I don't want to tell my story because maybe I have like it written right here as a billboard, rape victim. Like I was thinking that way because I felt this small, and everybody who used to meet me used to say, "You play too small. You play too small." And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? What does it mean playing small? It's not shining. It's not walking into your own power. I believe that God created us all equally, and created us with love. So many people ask me, "Okay, so you have this bubbly personality. Is it real?" I'm like, "Oh yes, it's real. It scared the heck out of my husband. Let me tell you." Okay, so it's real. And the thing is, because I have so much passion and love for life, I tell people every day above ground is a good day. What are you appreciating and are grateful for in your life right now that is still going to make you walk into your power and walk into your glory, that you can help others, you know? I call my friends angels. All my friends, anybody I meet is an angel, because I don't know what God is sending me, right? God is sending you angels all the time. They just in human form, right? When, because I used to get gifts and say, "Oh no, thank you. You can no, don't do that." You know, and then somebody said to me, "You're so selfish," and I'm like, "What? Me?" And they said, "Yeah. Why didn't you take the gift?" I'm like, "Well, because I feel bad." "Well, what happens when you want to give a gift? Do you like giving gifts?" I'm like, "Oh, I love giving gifts. It's so much fun." "Why?" "Because it makes people happy. And it makes me happy to make them happy." He goes, "Well, that's why you're selfish, because you just took away that love and fun for another person." And I'm like, "Oh." You know, you could have actually punched me in the gut. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have hurt as much, right? And then I realized that, yeah, that is how God gives us things. So when people give me a compliment, I say thank you. When someone gives me a gift, I say thank you. It took a while. I'm not telling you guys this took any time short, you know, no short time. It took a long time. But that's what we don't understand, is that everybody around us is important, and therefore I don't take anyone or anything for granted.
Oh,
I love it. And I believe that too. You know, it's taken me as a giver. You know, I would feel very uncomfortable taking from people, even a gift, even a compliment.
I
Just
know.
didn't know how to take it. And, you know, it has been the hardest, it's taken most of my life to learn how to take something
Yeah.
because it's not something that comes with ease to me.
When people used to say, "Oh, you look good today," I'm like, "You need glasses."
Yeah.
right,
Right?
right. I know, we've all done that.
I'm like,
And
"Are you sure you're seeing well?" You need another checkup.
cover one eye, see if I still look the same. No, and it's so true. And I love what you say about the earth angels, because we know there's no coincidences in life. People come in and go out for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And so what are we learning? What are they teaching us? What are we giving to them? It's really has to balance out.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing analogy. I love that.
Yeah. People come into our lives for a reason, a season, or life.
Right.
But I'll tell
Exactly.
you that at this point in my life, I only want lifers.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the reason and the season anymore. I think I learned what I wanted to learn, and if I need to learn anything else, God will bring it. And
Yes.
that's you know, because at this moment, I only want lifers. I mean, I'm 57 years old, and I think that what I've learned already, I'm giving back, and that's what I want. I want to be able to just give back. So I'm building healing centers for rescued victims of human trafficking, sex and labor slavery, so that we can give them back their God-given right to life, freedom, education, and autonomy. It is about giving back. If you're getting into the business of public speaking or coaching, make sure that it's for the right reason. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, I want to impact people." Really? How are you doing it? What
Yeah.
organizations do you belong to? Who are you helping? Is it transactional, or is it really giving back? And that's my lifer thing, why I want only lifers, because I want us to contribute to humanity in a different way, together, in real collaboration, not just saying collaborate and doing nothing about it, or asking me to do 80% of the work and doing 20%. You know what I mean? It's just, that's what's happening out there. It's very transactional. So I get away from it.
Where are your centers at? Do you have one right now, or are you working?
No, we are working on building one. We have a few big donors who are looking at everything, our business plan and everything. It's a process, because there's a lot of safe houses
Yeah.
and a lot of organizations that bring awareness of human trafficking, but we are a center that can bring in the rescued victims and give them everything from physical therapy, mental therapy, spiritual therapy, and all the way to training them to be entrepreneurs and completely independent, so that they don't need anyone else, and that they don't need to be exploited again. Because what I found from the victims that I've spoken to, or the rescued victims that I've spoken to, who are older now, like they were abducted when they were 6 and now they're 18 or 20. What happens is that they don't know who to trust, right? So if we gave them a safe place where they can stay for almost 2 years, we're just going to need not a lot of money to be able to sustain the place. That's all. But it gives them everything: education, jobs, everything.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. Coming from Arizona, we were a very high traffic state, and I've seen some stuff that I wish I never had, but it brings you to a reality that a lot of people won't accept, and that is, this is truly happening. We have more slaves now, human slaves, than ever before in history.
Yeah, in the United States, they could be in your own backyard. The one thing I'll tell you is that people who think Texas is one of the biggest states to be on that, how many human trafficking cases have been reported. Actually, Nevada is number 1. North Carolina and South Carolina are like in the number 2. Florida is number 3. Texas is number 10. California, I think, is number 3. Yes. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's interesting.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere. And in a lot of countries, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they don't know what's going on. So, and people want to wear their blinders, no, not in my backyard. Okay.
Yeah. And how many children go missing a year? Like 500,000. Where are they?
They're shipped somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. Cargo containers and underground.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a very scary situation that's happening in our world. And it's wonderful that you're opening some doors that are allowing things to be, something, an answer to something, because that's what we need more in our world, are answers instead of more questions. So I honor you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's why we need to do what we're doing, what we're passionate about, why we need to be out there speaking. Because one-on-one, we can do this all day long, but it's so exhausting, right? Why not one-to-many? Why not share our story? Like I said, we would not know who we're going to serve, but at the end of the day, the money we make, we can contribute in time, money, and I don't care to which organization, but at least donate some of your money. In the Bible, they call it tithing. I mean, like, that's not new to anyone. So you can do it in any way you want.
Well, I think that's the whole thing of what we owe for our lives. We owe to give back in some way to certain communities. And I know I have my favorite communities that hit me right at home because of how I grew up as well. So there's always something. There's more than areas that really need to be helped. And I hear you, and I like I said, I honor you for such a beautiful gift that you're giving out to life.
Thank you.
So let's just head back for a moment about your course, about speaking, because, if people making more money, that way they can help other groups. And when we fill our own cups, we can help fill others.
Absolutely.
Which is really the most important thing. How long is your course that you offer?
So there's only 2 ways of working with me, one-on-one or group. And the group is 7 weeks plus 2 one-on-ones with me before the group starts. And one-on-one is there's 2 one-on-ones. There's one that is a fast track. I block 3 days. We go through the whole thing and we get started. And then there is the one-on-one at your pace. It could be 2-3 weeks, whatever your time permits and mine. And that's just a different price range, which is basically, I'm not going to say it. I prefer you get on my calendar, see if we're a good fit. My advocacy is that you have me for life. So that's a good thing. Yeah, you don't have to worry about me selling you on anything. You never know, right? But if you like to hang out with me, and many people do, then I invite them to come on my speakers cruise or come to my events, my live events, if they want to. They're more than welcome,
Okay, and below this video, for those that are watching, is one of Orly's links, and through her, it's a Facebook link. You can get in touch with her, message her, and the one important thing is you're never going to change your life if you don't book a call and just have a conversation.
Exactly. There's no, and by the way, there's no pitch or sell or jokes. This is about your path. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Am I a good fit? If we're not a good fit, we're not a good fit. And that's okay. There's nothing, there's no shame in the game. You just have to ask. And that's the best thing to do, is to have that conversation. And I offer it freely, and I offer it in a guidance way. So maybe if there is something to think about or be ready for. I've had people who I met 2 years ago who just hired me lately. So I forgot about them. And believe me, I didn't wait around either. Oh, I wonder what so and so is doing, right? No, I didn't have that. It's because everybody's on their journey, and I respect that. You are who you are, where you are, and just embrace it, be grateful for it. And if it's meant for you, it will be for you no matter what you do.
It's beautiful. And it's true. You don't know. And here's the thing, you don't know if you come and speak to you of what you're going to unlock. Because through a conversation, so many things happen.
Yes.
Just right. So it's just that important conversation that's needed.
Yes, indeed.
So if somebody is possibly looking to get into it, what golden nugget would you give them?
Start where you are. Start reaching out. Go speak, even if it's, even if you don't get paid out right away, don't practice on a paid audience. So whatever your material, go practice on the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, your local gym, and a lot of people say, well, I belong to the National Speakers Association. I think that's great, but it's just an association. They don't promise to book you or get you booked, but it's nice to hang out, right? It's nice to hang out with our peers. They don't make the money that, some of them are, and some of them are not. So those who are not making the money, they're just there. And I think it's a great networking opportunity, but it's not where you get paid to speak or will get any referrals either. So where do you need to go? Your local chamber of commerce or your local gym. Ask them to do a workshop within the gym. And people say to me, really? Why would I do that? Well, because you're going to bring people to the gym. You're going to promote the gym. You're going to tell everybody on social media locally and in newspapers locally that you are speaking at this gym. And what gym would not want you to do that? They would be crazy for refusing this marketing opportunity that gives you a couple of hours to give a workshop within the gym. They have rooms everywhere.
And that's something you don't even think of.
Right.
You don't even think of that. And it makes so much sense with all the people that go in and out of a gym. Brilliant.
The funny thing is, I'm trademarked the Millionaire Connector, and it started as a joke. I have to finish on this really high note here for you, but let me tell you the story of how I became the Millionaire Connector, right? I went on a blind date. This is the funniest story you can ever hear, I promise. So I was a networker already. I love networking, love meeting people. You know how it is. You take business cards, you follow up, you have lunch, you have coffee, whatever. And every time I would go to a networking event, even though it's not my event, I would introduce people to each other. I would hey, you need to talk to so-and-so. Hey, you need to talk to so-and-so. And that's what I used to do. So everybody thought that all these events are my events. If I would show up, God forbid, then it's my event. And I used to say, no, that's not my event. I don't know where the bathroom is. Stop. Check it out. How do you know where the bathroom is, right? And I'm like, okay. So I go on this date, blind date, and we go and and when we met, on the phone, we were super cool, friendly, and so on. And when we met, there was no chemistry. And that happens, right? And so we both understood that, and we wanted to be friends. I said, listen, can we go to this one event my friend is hosting, and we're going to just show face, and we'll get out right away. We'll go have dinner. We'll do something. He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. No problem. So we go to this event, and we're standing at the doorway, and there's a bar. It's like a U-shaped bar, and there's little ditzy girl standing in front of it says, oh my God, look at that. The Millionaire Connector is here. And I'm like, are you talking to me? And she's like, yes, silly. And I'm like, come here. What the heck are you talking about? That's not what I said. And then she said, well, you see Tom and David over there in the corner? They said you introduced them 9 months ago, and they just made a deal that gave them $2 million each.
Ooh.
So they called you the Millionaire Connector. You should go see them. They might give you a commission. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, another one. So I go back there and I'm walking with him, obviously, and we're walking towards them, and it's like the velvet ropes and the boys club with the champagne bottles, cigars, and all that. And they see me coming, and they're like, "Orly, the millionaire connector," and I'm like, "Oh my God, God, open the floor wide, swallow me whole, please!" Right? And I'm like, "You guys are crazy." And he's standing there, and they took him into the circle, and they're giving him champagne. They know I don't drink. Anyways, just to let you know, those two guys are yacht brokers. Okay, and I just introduced them because I thought maybe they could just become friends. 6 months forward, I moved to New York. Now, what do you do when you go to a new town? You go to networking events, or you go to the chamber, or you go to Toastmasters. I don't know where the heck you go, but you go somewhere where there's people. So I go to this event where I meet this lady who hosts a red carpet elite professional event, and she invites me to it. And you got to dress up to the nines. Is at the Trump Tower World Bar. It's a bar called World Bar in New York, and literally all the who's there. And there's one guy there that is a producer from Hollywood. He worked with Demi Moore and Bruce Willis and Tom Cruise. And I walk in there and I avoid him. Every month that I go to that event, I avoid him like the plague because I get starstruck. And what happens to me is like, oh, yeah, I don't even say any word normal, right? And so I avoided him like the plague. Every month like that for 3-4 months. And after the 4th month, he comes up to me. His name is Dean Love. Comes up to me and says, "You're like the millionaire connector." And I'm like, "What did you say?" And he said, "Well, I spoke to those people over there. They said you introduced them and they're doing business. I spoke to these people over there. You introduced them and they're doing business. So I decided to call you the millionaire connector." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." The next day I called my lawyer. I'm like, "How do we trademark this thing?" I'm like, this did not happen by half chance, right? And this is what I just love to do, is introduce people and committing to donating of my time and efforts and resources in order to help others. That's what I wanted to say.
Wow.
That's amazing. That really is. That's a great story.
Such a funny story, yeah.
That's a fabulous story. And I want to thank you. We're coming to the end of our time here. And I want to thank you for such an incredible session today on learning how to connect up and from our Millionaire Connector. Thank you for showing up today, Orly Amor, and giving us some things that we can do to change our own lives.
Thank you. Thank you for having me both. I'm very grateful.
And we never finish a day or a time on a Wednesday without hearing from our dear Nicole.
Oh gosh. And you know, this Wednesday is like no other. There's so many nuggets that Orly has given us, but you know, I always pull something that resonates with my heart because I'm very heart-centered, and just when you work from your heart, you're working from your true center. And what I love about everything you've said is that you never know who might need to hear your story. You never know. And so that I remember many years ago writing my first book, which was awful. It was just a collective book. But this lady contacted me, and we were both living in Arizona. So we met and we had lunch together, and she had read my chapter in my book. And she said, she just started crying. She says, "This is exactly what I'm going through. It's exactly what I'm going through." And it was about divorce and how hurt I was and not using my voice. And we just talked for quite a while. She goes, "Did you ever think that you'd be an inspiration to anyone?" And it's like that word never entered my field at all. I just thought we were meeting, you know, she was close. I wanted to meet her. And that was really kind of my shift, is that I was embarrassed sometimes about what happened to me because I let it happen. But when I finally opened up and told the story, that helped one person at that time through what she needed. She resonated with what I said, and that helped her tremendously. So I'm with you, Orly. Share your story with pride. You made it through. You're good. You're helping. Just scream it if you have to, but let somebody know who you are, what you've gone through, and that you can help if needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like the starfish story. You know, look it up.
Yeah, all the starfish on the beach. Well, you can never get them all back into the water, but I can help that one starfish. Yeah, I love that story.
And that's what life is all about. If we can help one person at a time move forward on their journey while we've made it out of ours, that's what the world is supposed to be about.
Absolutely.
Thank you again, Orly, for joining us today, for showing our world of how to make our own lives a little bit better. So, like we say, we can fill our own cup and we can help fill others too.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.